When these kids are old enough to start families, their hometown will be underwater.
This is my grandma's house.
Their great-great-great-grandparents settled here during the Trail of Tears. And for the first 100 years, they farmed this land.
You just raised that exact house above, right? Yeah.
Right.
But in the last 30 years, they had to raise their homes a few feet to stay dry. And then a few feet more. Until before and after satellite pictures proved what they already knew. 98% of Ile-de-Jean-Charles, Louisiana, has disappeared.
I always talk about water is our life and our death. Once we weren't able to farm anymore, the waters, the shrimp, the oysters, the crabs that sustain our people, now is killing us. It's killing us.
Every hour of every day, a piece of Louisiana about the size of a football field slips into the sea. Every hour, every day. It started when America tamed, locked, and diked the mighty Mississippi, choking off the natural flow of mud that built this land. But these days, as it sinks, polar ice melts. Seas rise. Big storms just keep coming.
There has been a lot of change in just the last, say, 5 years.
And those who study the drowning of Louisiana say it is happening faster than anyone ever predicted.
What maybe 5 years ago was the worst case scenario is now what we might call a fairly likely scenario.
That's terrifying.
It is terrifying. And it basically means that climate change is here in full force.
So, Ile-de-Jean-Charles won a first-of-its-kind federal grant, $48 million, to move them about 40 miles north. The state recently closed on 500 acres of old sugarcane fields.
We're going to have baseball fields, fishing ponds, wetlands, homes along the back.
But before they can even break ground,
We just had a tribal meeting today.
they are getting a harsh lesson in just how hard it is to convince Americans to uproot and retreat.
Anybody else is probably not moving.
Really?
So, yeah.
Half of the 40 families who live here say they will never leave, while others still aren't convinced it's the right move.
This so-called climate change thing. So,
You put it in quotes,
yeah,
so-called.
that's right.
But Ile-de-Jean-Charles is just a tiny sample of how expensive and difficult the future will be. According to one estimate from the United Nations, between 50 and 200 million people will be displaced by climate change by the year 2050. And most of those are the planet's most vulnerable, fishermen and farmers who live on the edge. And if it is this hard moving a village, imagine moving Miami or New Orleans.
Do you have children?
I have an 8-year-old daughter.
Do you think she will ever be able to, say, take out a 30-year mortgage in New Orleans?
I don't know. That is, I wouldn't bet my money on it. Let's put it that way.
But he says it is not too late to stop burning the carbon that is cranking up the global thermostat. Not too late to stop worst case pain. But that will depend more on human nature than Mother Nature. And as people argue, the seas rise every hour of every day.